Hello everyone, today I'm gonna teach you attention economics. Recap. Attention economy focuses on how to allocate attention and considers attention to be scarce resource. In 1977, Goldhaber defined that the attention economy is an economy in which the scarce resource is not money or labor or raw material but attention itself. Earlier, Herbert A. Simon hypothesized it as a scarcity problem, and a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. Traditionally, attention media were print media and TV without customization. Then also, data value chain had key stages of data collection, data storage, data processing, data analysis, data interpretation, and data monetization. These were approximated by sales, TRP, viewership, etc. Today, it's inbuilt in algorithm to some extent. Data is an algorithm and algorithms are used by platforms. Internet which has created its utility and issues that have arrived are data privacy with concerns of requirement of regulator or operationalization of regulations. This makes us dependent on profit player or actors for ethical use of our personal information. Dark patterns keep you on a website, but what are the nudges that make you share your information? The content that will nudge users towards certain type of content. Now, talking about data supply chain. Globalization meant opening up the economy. So there was a time when we used to get information about conferences from books and dictionary. In the said context, globalization occurred to integrate economic, cultural, political, and social system. This was a means for goods and services, capital and labor to be traded on a worldwide basis, and the information and the result of research flow readily between countries. There was also emergence of the concept of home bias, where people tend to spend and hold the stocks or commodities of their own country more than the other nations' stock or commodities. Now we all have studied economic thought for mercantilism and from mercantilism that was to that assessed nations based on gold reserves, silver reserves, and at that time what happened was the military and the government was debating on control of resources. Agriculture economy was booming, and simultaneously development of the first world countries was also towards the industrial revolution. Revolutions were happening, and Marx, capitalism, the class clash, capitalism, class war, Maoism, Maoists, communists, etc. We will not dwell into deep into the economic thought, but one concept that formed the decision making was rationality, and people were crazily obsessed with rationalism. And models of rationalism were based on endogenous, exogenous variables until people questioned it. Are we really rational? And cognitive revolution came. So, beginning of studies were mainly introspection, and in economics also, difference was drawn between what should be and what is. Generally, a bias in natural inclination towards something is known as bias. Psychological communities had William James 1980 implied attention to be withdrawal from something in order to deal with other. Economists have long defined trade-offs and opportunity cost. The trade off this trade-off would be together. So this would be economic trade-off, TRADEOFF, is to give us something to get something. And when cost component is added to it, it is the cost of next best alternative forgone. Now, if we talk about a more precise definition in psychology was provided by Schiff. He said all aspects of cognition have to do with limited resource or capacity and methods dealing with such constraints. And Desimon and Ducans said attention being limited capacity of processing information. Now, Schriffing's definition of attention highlights attention to be a data point, and Desimon and Ducans to be a flow of data. Goldhaber's definition may imply attention to be analogous to land, a limited resource, and Simon may imply consideration of information as supply, with supply function as attention and capital, supply a function of attention and capital, and consumption demand to be function of utility and attention. We learned in compensated form, which may develop to consumption demand to be a function of price and attention as Marshallian form. So initially, how do we determine value chain? We studied value to be price multiplied by quantity, P into Q. V is equals to P into Q. And price may be equal to value. So value was economic value, that is price, into quantity. And we also then studied three types of indexes: price index, then value index, and quantity index, right? So initially we have studied survey data which had research value. Now, for example, let me explain you with an example. Suppose if price rises 4 times and quantity is rising by 25%. Okay, so the money value of GDP would be how much? 4 into 1.25, which is equals to 5 times. Now, advertisers claim that their goods represent value for money, and policymakers claim that yes, they have a value for policies. So value is always greater than equal to price. Now in next class we will discuss about data. In next class we'll discuss about data and variables, data collection, data processing and storage, distribution and data analysis, data based decision makings, data monetization and feedback loops. Also, some of the behavioral insights we will consider in next class. I'll just give you a brief about it. We recognize that in a highly competitive markets, providing content is not sufficient to satisfy the customers and ensure their loyalty. The goal is to convert interactions into unforgettable, enjoyable experience. This is a quote by Warren Buffett. I want my employees to think when they are alone if their actions are ethical or not. But ethics, beliefs, responsibility, they all are different. And thus, when nations were growing, companies were growing, people came up with regulations like antitrust regulations, reporting content, visually sensitive content, censorships, customs, tariffs, and all sort of measures. Now, questionable. What are the questions that arises in the value data chain? In management studies, we study about the corporate greed. which has been studied, and now emerging terms as gridflations are also coming. So these are some of the insights which we'll try to understand. And for next class, if you have time, The Social Dilemma is a Netflix documentary of 2020 that explores impact of social media on society, and that's related to attention economics, platform economics, behavior economics. It tells us about the ethical concerns about business models that shape our digital experience. So yes, this all we'll be discussing, and thank you so much.